With talk of a return to WWE and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Speaking about his run with Impact Wrestling, LA Knight told the My Love Letter to Wrestling podcast, very mixed. I mean, look, that was the first time I've seen real money and made real money in wrestling. So yeah, there's a lot of fun. There's also a lot of frustration that I didn't leave sooner. And not because there was an issue there necessarily, but just because I had the opportunity to come here to WWE earlier. I was lured in by that evil money. And so it was a matter of eventually realizing that I had reached the ceiling there as far as that was concerned. And even though I was being offered less here to start, the potential is so much greater where it was just like I gotta take the bet on myself eventually and make it pay off. Touching on the fact that he was left off WrestleMania 39, LA Knight said this about making up for it, telling BT Sport, I kind of let that one just stay where it was because I had let out all my anger and frustration the night before, because I felt very vindicated by the reaction that LA Knight had given me at the SmackDown the night before. It was big, it was huge, and it kind of made me even more pissed off that I didn't have something going on the next day. So at that point though, I had to just be like, well, it is what it is. Bye, and just kind of left it in the rear view mirror at that point. So I haven't really sat and thought about it, reflected on it, whatever. Glaring omission, you say? Yeah, maybe even a stumble or a fumble, I don't know. But here we are, and we're gonna make up for it. Opening up on the reaction he got to his coming out on AEW Dynamite, Anthony Bowens told ESPN Anscape, AEW wrestlers Billy Gunn and QT Marshall came to me and said, hey, we've got this segment. Would you be comfortable doing this? And I said, absolutely. Because my type of activism isn't particularly in your face. I like to go out and just be me, exist as successfully as I can, and be as visible as possible and authentic to me as I can. And if there is a time and a place where I feel like it would fit best, let's go for it. And I felt like this was a really fun segment to do it in. I thought it would also be a monumental moment because no one's ever said it inside of a wrestling ring. There's always been, from an athlete perspective, a hint there, maybe a joke that references someone being gay. It was never just flat out blunt like, hey, I'm gay. And I thought, screw it. This would be a great time for it to be done. And also a relatable thing for people who were in the position that I used to be in, who are scared to come out and didn't have somebody to look towards as a role model, an LGBT role model for them. Mentioning the idea of pro wrestlers changing their characters over time, Jake Roberts said on his Snake Pit podcast, you never change the character. Guys that change their character fail. If you watch Lex Luger, when he was a heel, he was awesome. When he turned babyface, he was a marshmallow. He couldn't do the that made him famous. Recalling times where she would have disagreements with WWE creative, Becky Lynch told Cosmopolitan UK, I have a good amount of input into my storylines. I think in recent months, I've changed my outlook on how I approach my creative process. I think I used to get so hung up on my ideas and wanting my ideas to go exactly my way. And if they didn't go my way, I would be in a bad mood all day. And I'd let everyone know about it. I'd fight and I'd fight and I'd fight. And if it didn't go my way, then I'd still be fighting all the way until I came back through the curtain. That takes up a lot of energy. Instead of doing that, now I will take whatever creative is giving to me and I will say, okay, well, whether I like this or not, can we change this? Okay, we can't? Great. How do I make this the best it can possibly be? That's my creative process now. It's kind of giving in. It's not my company. It's not my sandbox. My job is to make it as good as possible and get the fans and the people to care as much as possible. Sticking with Becky Lynch, she would be asked if she's able to look back on her success in WWE in a good light, as she said. I think in some ways, yes. I think there's very much an appreciation to the transitory nature of life, I suppose. And I think kind of coming to terms with, you can't hold on to any of these things. You can't go, okay, yeah, but I want to win the main event for the first time and win 2 championships again. You can't hold on to that, and you can't reach for the same thing again. You kind of have to always move on and find new goals and kind of appreciate the things that happen. But I don't think you ever kind of really sit back and go, yeah, I made it, because you're always on to the next thing. I think if anything, it's given me an appreciation of aging. I know that sounds kind of weird or whatever, but I think we're in such an industry that you feel when you get to a certain age, by the way, I'm still young, I'm still very young, but you see comments or whatever it is, oh, she's looking old or whatever. You never read the comments, but sometimes you'll happen to stumble upon one. We've still got so much to do. I have earned every wrinkle on my face, every gray hair that you'll never see because I'm dyeing it since I was 15, and you kind of have this appreciation for life and how we're just constantly progressing and things happen and then they're gone and you can't hold on to them, and we have to keep moving forward. And what's the next thing? And how do we appreciate what's happening right now? Talking about reintroducing the Eugene character in WWE today, Nick Dinsmore told the 10 Count, "Nobody at any time, now or then, told me the character was offensive. Some people nowadays might say, well, you can't get away with that anymore. But I disagree because WWE is the master of putting something out there and making it right and making the people go, oh, I realize now that I guess it's okay." Dinsmore further discussed the psychology he adapted in portraying Eugene, believing he'd get more heat by having heels pick on him than doing something controversial. He credited Triple H and Vince McMahon at playing those roles perfectly. Triple H was almost the best, so friendly and pulling Eugene in, and he'd come in and get beat up. Dinsmore continued, "Oh, it's your fault, Eugene. Okay, I'll do better." But in the end, Eugene pinned Triple H. Eugene pinned Vince McMahon, although Vince McMahon did put my hand in a toilet and put green in my hair. So Eugene was an underdog story about a boy achieving his dreams in the ring with The Rock, in the ring with Hogan at WrestleMania. He got the action figure, he got the teddy bear, the t-shirts. Saying this about adding new members to his faction, Santos Escobar told WrestleBinge, "You see, that's the thing. LWO just keeps bringing in the surprises. I'll bring you back to Puerto Rico. Backlash. Bad Bunny is huge. He's huge. And that's just a token of what LWO means these days. We had Bad Bunny, we had Carlito, we had Savio Vega, we had everyone else. So, to answer your question, can someone or could join? Absolutely. Who? Stay tuned." On a Twitch stream, Alicia Fox shared her experience with going to Rehab, saying, "It actually changed my whole life. This is what got me into Rehab, which I'm forever grateful. Forever grateful that company had that support. I guess the rumor mill is everyone was saying I look drunk. I look like I'm bumping crazy. I have no idea. I'm in the match, guys. I don't know. I was kind of rushed and stressed about changing the match. I don't know what's going on. Here's where the mic drops. I don't really know how to put this, but this is true. By the time I got out of my match and I'm being taken out by the medical team, and they give me a field sobriety test in the training room, and it's like no Arn, no producer, Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman are like popping their heads in there. They're like asking me what day it is, what city we're in. I felt like such a failure. I still haven't even been able to talk to him about this. And that was a bridge built water deep. I don't know. And I went to the locker room, I packed up my stuff, and the girls came in acting all like they didn't know what was going on. On the Wrestling Time Machine podcast, Bill Apter said this about Mandy Rose's growth during her career. But honestly, Mandy Rose started out as a pretty face and a pretty body, the model look, but she really learned the ropes. And she really became quite a talent in NXT and WWE. And Teddy is going to know this better than either of us. Once you go away from it for years, there's always something that's going to drive you back in because you really never want to leave it forever. Staying on this topic, Teddy Long said this on WrestleBinge about Mandy Rose returning to WWE. I think Mandy Rose is as happy as she could be. I don't think she's concerned or cares if she works in WWE or not. She's got her own business there and her fan time page, which is certainly on fire. A lot of response on that. Mandy, I think she's as happy as she wants to be in life. As she said, she's not quitting wrestling, so who knows, man? We may see her somewhere down the line. When asked about having a feud against each other in WWE, the Usos told Ariel Helwani of BT Sport, "Funny thing is, we haven't pitched it yet, but we're constantly saying it to each other. Before our career is done, man, like that's me and his go-to. That's my #1 dream of happening, me versus him at WrestleMania." During that same interview, Jimmy Uso was asked if he was worried about his DUI arrests affecting his career, as he replied, "No, I wasn't. When we show up to work, we're there. Everybody has their issues outside of work. Everybody is human and makes mistakes as they go through it. As long as you face the noise, that's something we always did. Even if we get in trouble, air it out. We always stood right in front of our mess, right in front of our noise, pushed through it, learned from it, and then keep it moving. That's always been our way." When it comes to results for the Money in the Bank 2023 Premium Live event, eWrestlingNews.com writes, Damian Priest won the men's Money in the Bank ladder match featuring Butch L.A. Knight, Logan Paul, Ricochet, Santos Escobar, and Shinsuke Nakamura. For the Undisputed Women's Tag Team Championship match, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez defeated Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler by pinfall to win the titles. For the Intercontinental Championship match, Gunther retained his title over Matt Riddle by submission. Following his defense of the IC title, Gunther would be confronted by the returning Drew McIntyre, who received a massive ovation. McIntyre would go face-to-face with the champion. Gunther shoved the face of McIntyre, which led to Drew headbutting the champ. Drew would then pick up the title, as this appears to be the next feud over the IC belt. Cody Rhodes would defeat Dominic Mysterio by pinfall. John Cena would make a surprise appearance at Money in the Bank as the crowd went absolutely wild for him. Cena would ask the fans if they wanted WrestleMania to take place in London, as they went ballistic over this idea. Cena would then be interrupted by Grayson Waller, who suggested WrestleMania take place in Australia to the crowd's dismay. Waller would then hit a cheap shot on Cena, as Cena eventually hit an attitude adjustment on Waller to please the fans. Io Sky won the women's Money in the Bank ladder match featuring Bayley, Becky Lynch, Trish Stratus, Zelina Vega, and Zoe Stark. And for the World Heavyweight Championship match, Seth Rollins would defend his title by defeating Finn Balor by pinfall. And in the Bloodline Civil War Tag Team match, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, with Paul Heyman at ringside, would take on Jimmy and Jey Uso. And in this bout, the Usos would come up with the victory. Be sure to let me know what you think of this Premium Live event and the results.